Hello, APUS history students. Welcome to the Gilder Lehrman video, How to LEQ. Here I'll explain helpful tips for the long essay question and discuss several examples to help you succeed on the APUSH exam. My name's Sarah Zimnick, and I teach APUSH in Rocky River, Ohio, just outside of Cleveland on the shores of Lake Erie. I am a Gilder Lehrman master teacher, have led GLI APUSH History School, and I've been teaching APUS history for the past 16 years. In this video, I'll focus on some strategies that have brought my students success on the LEQ. The long essay question comprises 15% of your total score on the national exam, and the College Board recommends 40 minutes to complete the task. You will develop an argument supported by an analysis of evidence. There will be three options to choose from, and all three will assess the same skills and the same reasoning process. For example, comparison, causation, or continuity and change. As you can see, each option comes from a very different time period, so be sure you have a good base of content and choose the one you feel the most comfortable with. I will now walk you through 3 steps to creating a strong LEQ. Step 1. Write a hot intro. This is the strategy that I use with my students to help them write a solid introduction paragraph. It stands for Historical Overview and Thesis with Themes. What is a historical overview? I like to think of it as a Star Wars rolling intro. If you've never seen Star Wars, basically at the very beginning of the movie, there's cool music and some rolling text that sets the scene. So in this part of the introduction, rewind about a decade or so before the year of the question. What developments or processes can you explain that lead into this moment? Be sure to be specific. Now it's time for your thesis with themes. LEQs will always require you to take a stand. Often they start with the phrase, "To what extent?" You'll need to make a strong argument here, but recognize the nuance in the question and that there are other sides to consider. I like to think of the thesis in this structure. Although this is true, this is more true because of X, Y, and Z. This shows how you recognize the complexity of the question. Your X, Y, and Z will become the topics of each of your body paragraphs. Now it's time to spill the tea. This is a great way to structure your body paragraphs. Each body paragraph should start with a strong topic sentence that relates to your thesis. Then you want to add a piece of historical evidence, and finally, your analysis of why it matters and how it shows causation or change over time. The final step in the LEQ is to finish strong with your mic drop moment in your conclusion paragraph. Here is where you will have one more chance to circle back to your thesis, leaving the grader with no doubt as to your argument and your solid evidence and analysis that proved your point. Ready to practice? Let's do it. Here you can see what question options will look like. You can find this and other LEQs on the College Board's websites under their previously released exams. Note the different time periods in each question and how each question begins with evaluate the extent. Let's try a sample together. Here are 3 options of questions. In this video, I'll walk you through our 3-step process for the last option. Evaluate the extent to which the civil rights movement created social and political change in American society between 1954 and 1968. I recommend taking just a few minutes and doing a little brain dump. What can you think of that might help you answer this question? Jot down anything you can. Focus on the years in the question, but it's okay to use some evidence before the years in your hot intro. To me, it just helps to see some things on paper. Take a deep breath and formulate your argument. Here's an example of a brain dump that might be great for this question. Now it's time for our hot intro. Notice how I've set the scene by rewinding a decade or so and using examples relevant to the question. For this topic, I chose to revisit Black Americans' actions and contributions during World War II, including the Double V campaign, to set up the natural demand for equal rights approaching the year of the question, 1954. The thesis with themes is in yellow. And note the nuance and complexity here. Although achieving liberty and justice for all required ongoing work after 1968, the civil rights movement significantly changed social and political life through student action, federal legislation, and individuals demanding change. This recognizes that the work, as you know, was not done in 1968, but there was, as the argument says, drastic change. Now it's time to spill the tea. Here you can see a body paragraph where I've taken one part of the thesis, student action, and expanded upon this to show how students were pushing for change. Note the specific evidence, like the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee and their coordinated efforts and leaders to demand equality. Here's a closer look. Specific examples are paramount for the LEQ, so make sure you use them throughout your essay. The blue sentence is the A part of the T, the analysis. Here you want to show a complex understanding and how your argument relates back to what you stated in your thesis. Finally, it's time to drop the mic. This is your chance to highlight the strongest pieces of evidence throughout your essay and circle back to your thesis. Notice how, in the yellow, I've restated the thesis to really drive home the point I made of drastic change, but recognizing the nuance and complexity of the question by reminding the reader that the work for civil rights is not yet done. As we conclude the video, remember, a strong base of content knowledge is your first tool to succeed on the LEQ. Gilder Lehrman resources are here to help. Trust yourself. You've got this.